And hello there, very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the locker room. There's no football on today, but that doesn't stop us from being on. We are here every Sunday looking back at the weekend's action. And I'm joined, as always, by my wonderful co host, Graham Duffy. How are you, Graham, on that? It looks as though it's nice and sunny where you are.
Yeah, Pennycook is bathed in sunshine, which makes a pleasant change. So it's extremely warm here as well, which is a pleasant change as well.
I was going to say it's sunny on top of my head, but I've got a light on top of me, so so it's not sunny at all. But anyway, we're here until 5 o'clock, and if you want to comment on anything, you can do so on YouTube Live or Facebook Live as well. Um, Tell us about your favourite game of the weekend or your favourite goal of the weekend. I think I know what Graham will his favourite goal of the weekend, and it won't be at Tynecastle Saga on Saturday. However, Graham was in the programme, so well done to Mr. Duffy on that one. As I say, we're here until 5 o'clock, me and Graham. And also, you can comment on anything that we're talking about, disagreeing with, on Twitter at the Locker Room Indie on Twitter as well. So, we're here to speak about football and also talk about women's football as well, because I know I mentioned on Friday that there's a big game coming up for Scotland on the first night. So we'll speak about that later on in the show. Right, that's enough about me. Let's get on with the show. And there's only one place to start. Sorry, Graham. I've got to mention this. Half-time kickoff at Tynecastle, Hearts now, Rangers 4. I
Yeah,
never... Yeah.
massive letdown, but it's no surprise. Our record against Celtic and Rangers is not great. I actually took a couple of stats yesterday afternoon, and last season we played 5 games against Rangers, including the Cup. We didn't win any. We lost 4, we drew 1. We scored 2 goals and conceded 13. I had hoped that yesterday would be a different story, but again, it's just another massive disappointment. I actually thought we started all right. We started on the front foot. Shanklin's had a turn and shot which was blocked, and I thought we started quite well. The team lineup I wasn't actually that disappointed with. It was pretty much the team that I suggested. The only change was Stephen Humphreys in for Robert Snodgrass. And Humphreys actually played well yesterday. He was quite lively. But the worst thing you can do against Celtic Rangers is lose the opening goal. I said on Friday, to give ourselves a chance, we had to score first. And within 6 minutes, we've lost the first goal. Again, it's poor defending, though. It's a good cross from Ryan Kent. But Cholak, it's a pretty much a free header. But then we reacted okay after that. I think we got into the game a little bit. We didn't really create a lot, but we were okay. And then half an hour goes, and again, Cholak again, it's poor defending again. It's a good pass through for Jack, but it's poor defending again. And the game's done after that. We're 2-0 down. The game's done. And then Cammy Devlin gets sent off. And actually, I thought Devlin was okay before that. He was doing his normal. He was biting the challenges. He was being competitive. But it is a red card, unfortunately. It's late. It's over the top. So it's a red card. And the game then absolutely is effectively done. And Rangers are in cruise control. I don't think Rangers really had to do much to win that game yesterday. And it's just a massive disappointment for Hearts. We want to compete against Celtic and Rangers, but we can't. It's another huge letdown. Again, on Twitter yesterday, on social media, again, I was on this morning and somebody on my Twitter page has said, Robbie Nielsen's a problem, needs to go. Which, again, I don't agree with. But I keep on saying on the show, Robbie is only ever one defeat away from folk wanting him sacked. People are talking about the team. People are talking about the recruitment. It always happens after a defeat, which I don't agree with. We've had a decent start to the season. Could it have been better? Yeah, of course it could. But yesterday's a massive letdown again against one of the big two. And this isn't a Robbie Nielsen issue. This has been numerous managers over the years have had this problem. And it's something that's got to be rectified because I'm sick of getting our pants pulled down against the Glasgow Big Two every time we play against them.
Of course, yeah. Kolat scored in 6 minutes, and also in half an hour, and Morelos after 76 minutes, and Ryan Kent rounded it off by 4-0 for Rangers. I want obviously I saw the highlights last night, Graham. I know you don't want to speak about the Rangers goals, but I'm sorry we have to. I was a brilliant goal. It was a brilliant ball over from Kent from Korat's first goal. But as you would say, the poor defending from a Hearts point of view. But a good ball over.
It is, but Michael Smith's got to do more to stop that cross. Ryan Kent's got far too much time and space to get that cross in. It is a good cross, but he's got to do more to stop that cross coming in. And again, Čolak is pretty much unmarked. It's pure defending for Hearts. Lewis Nielsen and Stephen Kings have got to do more to stop that. But it's just very poor all round. I mean, you can't leave a guy like Anthony Čolak unmarked in the box, and that's what we did effectively. And it's just very poor from Hearts all round. It's really, really poor defending. And I mean, we are clearly missing the likes of Kai Rowles and Craig Halkett. They're a massive, massive miss. And it shows. Lewis Nielsen's 19. He's been great so far. But yes, there was a massive test along with Kingsley, and unfortunately failed it massively. But again, it's not really their fault. The whole team's got to do more defensively, and it's just so poor again. That's I think that's 17 goals we've lost against Rangers in the last 6 games. It's not good enough, and questions have got to be asked about that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Van Broek says after the game that we started really well, and the first two goals make it easier for us. After the red card, we controlled the game. I kind of disagree with that comment, Glenn, because I thought, even though I only saw the highlights last night, but I thought Rangers controlled the game throughout the 90 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we had probably a spell after the first goal where we came back into the game but didn't really create a lot. But you always felt that Rangers just had that threat going forward. That ball over the top, that would worried me most of the game. And it showed, the second goal, it's a really good ball. And it's in behind our defence, and it's a good finish for Čolak, who's on form, who's on absolute form just now. But I thought Rangers after that, they did, they controlled the game, and there was never a real threat to them, unfortunately. Again, we didn't get enough service to Shankland. Forrest was quite quiet. Barry Mackay, again, the first half was quiet and he got taken off. It was just a poor day for Hearts yesterday, but it happens too often against the big two. Now, I could have a rant about it, but there's no point because it's the same thing every week. I mentioned on Twitter yesterday, I would actually rather, when we play Celtic and Rangers, just go up to the guys before the game, shake hands and say, we'll just take a 3-0 forfeit so we don't have to bother playing this game, because it happens far too often for me. Somebody actually mentioned yesterday, and I kind of agree with it. We tend to bottle it against both Glasgow teams, and you can't keep doing that. You look at St Mirren against Celtic a couple of weeks ago. St Mirren really, really played well against Celtic. There's no reason that a team like Hearts shouldn't, especially at Tynecastle, shouldn't compete against those two. But we just don't, and it really is frustrating.
Robin Nielsen says after the game that silly decision to go in with the tackle in that area is talking about Cammy Gethson. And he goes on to say Cammy has been outstanding for us since day one. He's played on the edge and he's still a young kid and will learn a lot from today. Graham, would you say that, okay, he's still a young boy, but he should know better than that?
Yeah, and the thing is, there wasn't any danger. The guys on the touchline next to the dugout, he doesn't have to go steaming in like that. I think the one thing I like about Devlin is he is very competitive. He doesn't like to lose, which is what you want. And he doesn't care about reputation. He doesn't care who he plays against, Celtic, Rangers, whoever, he gets stuck in. But he went over the top yesterday. It's a poor challenge. I saw some Hearts fans on Twitter saying that's never a red card. It was. It was late. It was reckless. It was down the back of the ankle. It's a poor, poor challenge. So he needs to learn. And I'm sure he will. And apparently he went into the dressing room yesterday and apologised and had a meeting about it. And, he is young and he will learn. but you can't go diving in like that. And there was no real danger. I said he was on the touchline. There's no real need to make that challenge. So it is poor, and that definitely kills the game. I said it 2-0 down, the game was done anyway, but as soon as Devlin gets sent off, that's it, definitely done. And we can't be doing that. You look at the European game against Zurich, we were well in that game, and then George Grant gets sent off for a ridiculous second booking dive. So we need to learn lessons very quickly. And that was just it was a poor challenge yesterday.
We were talking about Snodgrass on the show on Friday, and Dave corrected me saying that he kind of made his debut off the bench before, but not his home debut. That's how I'm kind of sticking up for myself there, Graham, because nobody else does. But were you not disappointed how Snodgrass was a sub yesterday, especially at home? And am I not mistaken when he came on at 3-0, so the game was technically over anyway?
He came on at half time. We were 2-0 down. But, I had him in my starting lineup yesterday. And the reason I put it in there was because of experience. And I know that he's been doing a lot of double work in the training. So I thought he might have started yesterday. And that creativity as well. So, I wasn't surprised he didn't, but I had him in my lineup. And again, he comes on at 2-0 down. When we're down to 10 men, there's not a lot he can do to affect the game. Maybe just using experience a little bit more, but there wasn't a lot he could do. I would imagine that he will probably start against Kilmarnock next week because he can't play against Fiorentina because he's not eligible. So I think he'll probably start next week against Kilmarnock. But, we need to react from that game on Thursday night. It's a massive game. We've got a lot of games to play this month. I know that so do Rangers and Celtic as well, but we've got a lot of games to play. And this will make or break Hearts, I think, this October. We'll see where we are at the end of this month in terms of the league and in terms of Europe. So it's a massive month for Robbie Neilson. But as I say, he's only ever one defeat away from folk calling for his head. Now, that's happened again already after yesterday, which is not a massive shock. But he's got to lift the players for Thursday night because Fiorentina is now a huge, huge game. We need to forget about yesterday, but we really, really need Craig Halkett back. We need Kai Rowles back because defensively, we looked all over the place yesterday, and that was pretty obvious very early on.
Good. I'm just looking at my notes here that I took watching the highlight last night, and am I right in thinking that Josh Giannelli was the only kind of decent shot on goal Hearts had yesterday?
Yeah, it was. Giannelli is frustrating for Hearts fans. He's got a lot of pace. He can take people on. He can get a decent shot away. But I think, like most wingers, he's very frustrating. You kind of see it, glimpses of it now and again. But I thought he looked lively when he came on yesterday. And again, I thought he was probably our best player in that game against RFS away from home as well. So he has started to look a lot better. So again, I think it might be that he might start against Fiorentina on Thursday night. But it's just such a massive letdown because going into that game yesterday, I thought we've got a chance here. I didn't know if we'd win, but I thought we had a chance. With that Tynecastle crowd at home, but it's just another massive failure in Celtic and Rangers. Now, I said on Friday to you and Dave, what's it going to take for a team to split the Glasgow 2? Well, it's not performances like yesterday. I think too many times over the years we showed far too much respect to the big two. We just look at them and think they've got better players and a better team. We'll take a 1 or 2-0 defeat. That's not what you want to see as a fan. You want to see a team having a go. And that's the real frustration for me. The only time I've ever seen it from Hearts is under George Burley, when we played Celtic and Rangers and get beat. Now, I'd like to see that back again, but it's a massive, massive frustration. And I'm not going to blame Neilson for this because I think the team was fine yesterday. It's just that we are so poor defensively at the moment. And again, Craig Gordon's had to make a couple of really decent saves. But we need to be better against Celtic and Rangers at home and away because, again, yesterday, that's not good enough.
Yeah, because I remember years ago when Celtic and Rangers went to Tynecastle, and you've always said, "Oh, it's going to be a hard game." But to be honest, listening to you and watching the highlight from last night, it was just a kind of no disrespect to Hearts, but it was just a cakewalk to Rangers yesterday, you would say.
Yeah, I listened to another podcast on, I think it was Friday night after our show, and they were talking about that this could be a hard game for Rangers. And again, it wasn't. They've just walked it far too comfortably. And that's the frustration for me. We're always told that Tynecastle is a hard place to go. For Celtic and Rangers, it's not. And it very rarely is. And that needs to change. The mindset needs to change. The mentality has to change. There's so many things that need to change when we play Celtic and Rangers, especially at Tynecastle. And unfortunately, I mean, again, the atmosphere at Tynecastle yesterday was quite flat again. This has been talked about before as well. Tynecastle can be a hard place to go. It can be intimidating. But the fans again yesterday, I think they just turned up and expected something to happen. They've got to get behind the team right for the start. And as soon as that first goal goes in for Rangers, the atmosphere just dies. And it happens too often. But performances like that, you can't accept that. You've got to do better when it comes to playing against Celtic and Rangers. Because again, that was pitiful yesterday.
Yeah, because Van Bronckhorst went on to say that we could have scored more, but overall, I'm really happy with the 3 points. 3 points, 4 goals, and a clean sheet as well. That's important, Graham, when you go away from home to have not only could score 4 goals, dominate the game, but also could get a clean sheet as well.
It is, but again, I keep going back to this, that I don't think Rangers has been that great so far this season, but they're getting results. And yesterday, again, they didn't really have to get first gear. It was too comfortable for them. We made it too easy for them. And yeah, Rangers were okay, but I don't think they were any more than that. We made it far too easy for them. And Van Bronckhorst seems to have the better of Robin Nielsen at the moment. Every game he plays, he seems to be quite comfortable. And that needs to change. Mentality needs to change when we play against Celtic and Rangers, because it was far, far too easy for Van Bronckhorst yesterday. We didn't cause any real problems, and that's got to change. But for Van Bronckhorst, it's a great victory. They were top for a few hours until Celtic went back again. But, when you're Rangers and Celtic, you've got to win every game. And he'll be delighted that after an international break, he's gone to Tynecastle, scored 4 goals, kept a clean sheet. But we made it far too easy for them.
So what? Obviously, we'll speak about Rangers in a minute when they play Liverpool on Tuesday night. But what about Hearts? How do you think that they'll react on Thursday night?
Hopefully, we'll react positively. I actually think it's a good thing that we've got another game on Thursday, that we can get that out of the way, and the players will be looking to get back into action pretty quickly to make that right. I would expect to see probably a few changes. Now, from what Robbie said before the game, I think Craig Halkett will be back for this game, which could be huge. We need him back. We need his experience and his attitude in there. So it might be a case, I think Nielsen will come out, Lewis Nielsen, and probably it'll be Halkett and Kingsley at the back. But we need to react a lot better. We need to start the game honestly. I say this every week, I'm sick of saying it, but we need to start the game well on Thursday. Get the crowd up for it right for the start. There should be a decent atmosphere at Tynecastle. It's Thursday night, under the floodlights. We have to react. Fiorentina have not been great so far this season, so we've got a chance here. If we can win this game, we could have a very good chance to qualify for this group in second place, but we need to come out fighting. We need to see a bit more. I want to see Barry Mackay, Alan Forrest doing a lot more, because that first half, they were very disappointing yesterday, and we need to get chances for Shankland. The only positive from yesterday in terms of on the pitch was Stephen Humphreys. I thought Humphreys was really lively. I thought he led them really well. He caused problems. He was the only positive. And to have only one positive in that game is a massive, massive letdown.
Are you glad in a way that the game's at home instead of away first?
Yeah, I think so. The fans will be up for this. The fans have got a massive part to play in this. If they can get behind the team right for the start and get the players up for it, not that you should need that, but if the fans are behind us right for the start, we can cause a lot of problems for Fiorentina. And again, that first goal, if we can get that first goal, what a chance we've got, because it'll be interesting to see if Fiorentina react to that, because they've not been great so far this season, and they've had this disappointing first 2 games in the Conference League, so we've got a real chance. And I am glad the game's at home, but we need to give the fans something to shout about. Start the game well, start on the front foot, get an early goal, and we've got a great chance. Because if we lose the first goal, the place will go flat. And again, you'll have fans saying, oh, Robin Nielsen's this, Robin Nielsen's that. We need to start well.
And also, for Wednesday night Wednesday night, for Tuesday night, that for Tuesday night for Rangers at Liverpool again. You'll be supporting Liverpool as you were yesterday for Hearts, because I know everybody knows that you're a Liverpool fan, and if you don't know, well, you know now. So how do you think Rangers will cope with that one? It's basically going up a level or two when you're playing Liverpool in the Champions League, especially away from home as well.
The way Liverpool have played just now, Rangers might fancy this. Liverpool have been very, very poor. They're well off the pace this season so far. They started so badly. Yesterday losing 3 goals to Brighton at home. Leandro Trossard scoring a hat-trick at Anfield. A huge letdown. Liverpool just looked so vulnerable just now defensively. Players that have been fantastic for the last few years are well off the pace, like Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Trent Alexander-Arnold. They're just all over the place. And if you're Rangers looking at that game yesterday, you've got to think we can cause them problems right now. And Ryan Kent, going back to his old club Liverpool, he'll be looking to cause Trent problems on Tuesday. So Rangers have got a chance here. I hate saying this, but they've got a massive chance here. Because Liverpool look very, very poor defensively. But going forward, Luis Diaz is a massive threat for Liverpool. Firmino's looking on probably our best player just now at the moment going forward. So it's a difficult game to call. Normally, I think Liverpool will win this game comfortably. But right now, I genuinely couldn't call this. I think Rangers have got a good chance to get something out of that game.
By speaking about the Liverpool game and the Rangers game and the Hearts game, that means I will advertise our show on Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday night in Indie Live Radio and Independence Live. We'll be joined by a panel of experts. So that means I'm not an expert, so I won't be here then. So join us for that one. And Graham's laughing because he knows that I'm telling the truth in that one. So thanks, Graham.
That's right.
Yeah. So let's move on now to the game at Celtic Park. Quite a bizarre game, actually. Celtic won by 2-0. Stuart Hasse scored in the goal in 15 minutes. Rio Akatati scoring the goal after 64 minutes. One of the goals of the season for me so far, Glim. I don't know if you managed to see it. And then McGregor getting sent off after 84 minutes. There was an own goal by Branovic, and I've never saw an own goal like that in my life before. After 36 minutes as well. So Graham, quite a bizarre game, but Celtic got the job done.
Yeah, you call it bizarre. I mean, it was a very strange game in the fact that although Celtic, as you'd expect, pretty much dominated most of the game, Motherwell never out the game. It was a very strange game. Celtic had quite a few decent chances. Once they get the first goal through Kyogo, you're thinking this will be now probably 3 or 4. And then they lose a very, very poor goal. There's obviously no communication between Juranovic and Hart. I think Hart's got a shout for that. He obviously doesn't shout for it, or if he does, Juranovic doesn't hear him. And it's just a very, very strange goal. And from that point on, you're thinking Motherwell can sense something here. And then, it's a great finish from Hatate. Really good goal. But even then, Motherwell were never out the game. And you thought if they can just get one chance, Celtic had chances but didn't put them away. And then, the last minute, Callum McGregor has to bring the boy down because if Van Veen looks up, Hart's off his line. So he's got a chance to chip him and get a draw out of that game. So it was a very strange game in the sense that Celtic, for all that they really controlled the game, Motherwell were never out of it. So it was a very, very strange game. But in terms of Celtic, they'll just be delighted to get the win. Having come off the back of that defeat against St Mirren before the international break, they'll be delighted to win that game. But it was a very, very strange afternoon.
Yeah, because obviously I was at the game yesterday, Graham, and they never show you this in the highlights package. But and this might think about weird what I'm going to say, but when an away game and a wee team comes to Parkhead and Ibrox, you would think Celtic and Rangers are going to push up right away. But within the first 30 seconds of the game, maybe it was 40 seconds, I can't remember, but within the first minute anyway, Murrow had a corner. And I thought that was a bit weird to see because you're never expecting an away team to have a corner within the first minute. And really, for me, that set the tone for the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got credit to Motherwell. I thought they performed really well. They really competed well. They didn't allow Celtic to get too far ahead. They kept themselves in the game and, they created a few problems. But, to get a corner very early on at Celtic Park, it is unusual. But I think Stevie Hamill's done a really good job on Motherwell. Games against Celtic are not going to define your season. But I thought they competed well. I think Hamill will be delighted with that performance. And as I say, if McGregor doesn't bring Van Veen down, they could have snatched a draw that, whether they would deserve it or not, I don't know. But it was just a very strange performance from Celtic in the terms that they did create decent chances but couldn't score them, and Motherwell were just always in the game. But I think Celtic did deserve to win. But you've got to give credit to Motherwell because I thought they competed really well.
Yeah, no, I mean, exactly. I mean, 2-1's a kind of like funny score. You'd be better with 3-1 or 4-1, but 2-1's a funny score, and Celtic were hanging on at the end. But however, Celtic had the better chances to kind of win the game. I wanted to get your take on McGregor sending off. It was a definite sending off. But would you say that? I mean, how when we speak in the game, it's like, oh well, that was a decent foul and whatever. Was that a decent red card? Because as you say, the Murrow man was through and goal.
Yeah, I think it was, and I don't think Stephen Welsh is going to get back quick enough to cover. And I think if you're McGregor, and I think he was actually raging at Hatate because it's Hatate that plays the loose pass that lets Van Veen in. And I think listen, it's a professional foul. McGregor's got no choice because he knows if he doesn't do it, then Van Veen's probably through. Or, as I said, Hart's out his goal. Van Veen can just chip over him. So it was a good foul to give away. Disappointing for McGregor that he's going to be suspended now. But if he doesn't do that and Motherwell will get an equaliser, then it's a huge, huge letdown for Celtic. So I think he had to do it. But it was a poor pass from Hatate that led to that in the first place.
Yeah, no, McGregor will be Ockmack at the next week's game in Celtic's got St Johnson up at McDermott Park. That's the kickoff game next weekend as well. I wanted to speak about obviously we spoke about it very quickly there about the own goal. I mean, I've never saw a bizarre own goal like that in my lifetime, and I probably won't see another goal like that again. But it was just like a comedy of errors. Yeah,
I mean, there's obviously a miscommunication there between Juranovic and Hart. I don't know if Hart shouted or whatever, but I mean, I think Juranovic is right to try and chest it down to him, but he doesn't realise that Hart's well off his line at the time. So it was very strange, and Hart can't get it back. But, I think if you're Hart and Juranovic in the dressing room, you're going to have a conversation next time to say, look, next time, just shout. Somebody just shout and say something. But it was a poor goal, and it gave Motherwell a lift at that point because they're right back in it at 1-1, and they're right back in it. And it's just it's one of these things you see on like one of these funny football shows. That'll be shown. Yeah. That'll be shown probably next time on one of these shows. It was very bizarre, but it's just a lack of communication between the pair of them.
Yeah, no, let's look at the quotes after the game then. Stephen Hamill, the Motherwell, not manager, coach. Because I don't know about you, Glenn, but whoever gets a job or whatever at these clubs, it's either a manager or a coach. But to me, it's the same thing. You're the boss, so, it doesn't matter. Maybe they prefer a coach to manager, I don't know. But Stephen Hamill is a coach. Even though he's a manager, but work that one out if you can. He says it was a game we could have got something out of. Celtic had some chances, but we did also. Do you think that was a fair reflection of Hamill's comments there?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, as I said, Motherwell were never out the game. They did have a few decent chances, but I think Celtic were, I wouldn't say, would I say always in control? I think they probably were. They had most of the possession, they had most of the chances, but I just thought if you look at the stats, I mean, Motherwell had 2 shots on goal from 7. They had 7 attempts. Celtic had 16 shots with 6 on target and 70% possession. do you look at those stats and think Celtic have been dominant, but the scoreline doesn't really reflect that? I think Motherwell did do well. You know, I've seen numerous teams go to Celtic Park and be absolutely hammered. Motherwell didn't do that. You know, they competed really well. And as I say, that chance at the end, if McGregor doesn't bring Van Veen down, you never know what could have happened. So I think if you're Hamill, you're really disappointed to lose the game, but there's a lot of positives to take from that game.
So Celtic got a penalty in the second half?
I'm not entirely sure. I never actually saw it, so I'm not entirely sure. I haven't really seen it properly.
Right, okay. That's fine. Yeah, that answers that question then. Andy Postecoglou says that after the end of the game, in the first half they didn't really threaten us, and we had some good chances. When you give them a goal, it keeps them in the game and it gives them more confidence. That was the thing then, because before Celtic scored the goal yesterday, it was a kind of funny game, and to be honest, you were saying about Tynecastle, it was a very funny atmosphere at Park yesterday. It was very quiet and all that. When the first goal went in, obviously Celtic played well, but when Aranovic scored that own goal, and Joe Hart kind of helped him with the goal a wee bit, the Motherwell was the better team, right enough to go on before half time, kind of thing, you know. But so it was a kind of weird day all round. But as I say, Celtic got the 3 points, but it was telling for me that Celtic missed Carl Vickers at the back yesterday again.
Yeah, I think a lot of Celtic fans have said the same thing. He's a huge miss. He's been brilliant for Celtic. And I think the sooner they get him back fit, the better, because he is such a huge player. You know, getting him on that long-term contract was massive. And I just think he is a huge miss for Celtic, but they still got enough quality in that team. But he's a leader as well. So they do miss him. But, you know, it's the main thing for Celtic yesterday was getting 3 points, especially in the back of Rangers going top a few hours before that. It was a huge result for Celtic to get 3 points. Doesn't matter how you do it, just get the 3 points. And they got that. And now they have to move on to Wednesday night against Leipzig, which again is another massive game for Celtic.
Yep, and of course, before we talk about the Celtic game, Motherwell, I can't remember, but they've got I don't know when this game was cancelled, Graham, but they've got an away game on Wednesday night Tuesday night against Ross County. So that'll be a very difficult game for Motherwell up there.
It will be. I know we'll get to Ross County later, but obviously they were playing yesterday and lost to Hibs, so that's a massive disappointment. They'll be looking to bounce back from that. And Motherwell, as I say, I think under Hamill they've done well. I can see a complete difference in the team under Graham Alexander. They look a much better unit now. I still think they rely a bit too much on Van Veen. Maybe Louis Moult can help that, but I do still think they're over-reliant on him at times. But they do like to get the ball down. They do like to get the ball down and play football. They look a lot better than they do under Graham Alexander, which is weird because it's the same team. But they just look a better team now. They look better prepared, and they're not losing as many goals. I know they lost 2 yesterday and lost 3 to Hearts, but they were unlucky to lose to Hearts by 3 goals to 0. That was very unjust, even a Hearts fan. But they do look a better team. So I think they'll play, you know, they'll go to County and it'll be a hard game, but it's one that I think Motherwell can get 3 points out of.
Yep, and of course, when we're on Tuesday night, we'll take a look at that game as well. Motherwell and Ross County, not in the Champions League, but in the Premiership. Celtic, after Celtic, Graham, they head off to Germany to take on RB Leipzig on Wednesday night with a quarter to 6 kickoff. So that's the kickoff for that one. So how do you think Celtic will fare? Of course, this is Leipzig, so that they've got them back to back now, Graham. So, interesting game.
Yeah, I think this is a game that Celtic have got to try and win. You know, I think you've got to assume that Real Madrid will win the group. So I think it's going to be about these games between Celtic and Leipzig. I know Shakhtar are not a bad side, but I do think if Celtic can get the points off Leipzig, they've got a great chance to get through. So this is a really big double header. And I think Celtic can get the points in this game. I really do. I think they've got a better team. I think they've got we know about Postecoglou, a fantastic manager. And I think with Celtic, they go everywhere and they try and win. You saw what they did against Madrid. That first half, they were excellent against Madrid. So they've got to take that into that game against Leipzig. And I think there's no reason that Celtic can't get a result here. They need to be very wary defensively. They need to, communicate. They don't want another Motherwell performance again. But I think this is a game that Celtic can go there with confidence and get 3 points from. And if they win that, they give themselves a massive opportunity.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think when you see these football funny programs, I think that'll appear on it. It reminded me about the Chuckle Brothers as well to me. But anyway, so Celtic got the job done at Parkhead yesterday, won them 2-1. And of course, Graham, they've got Motherwell in a few weeks' time in the League Cup, but this time it's at Park.
Yeah, and I know that's going to be a hard game as well. They've just given them a hard game at Celtic Park. But again, it's a game you'd expect Celtic to win. They're just... this Celtic team, I know they lost against St Mirren, but I just think they are still stronger than Rangers. And I still think they are the best team in the league. So I think if you're Postecoglou, you'll be looking... Postecoglou, I think he said this before, you look at it one game at a time. You take each game as it comes. You can't look too far forward. But that's a game you'd expect Celtic to win. I don't know if they might make changes for that game because they're a few weeks away yet. They might make changes, you never know. But Celtic just have such a strong squad. So you'd expect Celtic to win that game, but it'll be a hard test against Motherwell because Motherwell showed enough yesterday to say that they can be a hard team to play against.
Okay, let's go up to Aberdeen then. Not a happy welcome. Welcome back to the Kilmarnock manager, Gerrick McInnes, as Aberdeen beat Kilmarnock by 4-1. And that means Aberdeen now are unbeaten in 12 games against Kilmarnock, and they are now 5th in the table. But on the other hand, Kilmarnock remains second bottom after the 5th lead defeat in 6 games, and that must be a worry if you're a Kerry fan as well. But nevertheless, good result for Aberdeen.
Yeah, Aberdeen were excellent, thoroughly deserved, probably could have scored more. I thought, again, Majowski, one of the signings of the season. I think that's his 8th goal in all competitions this season. He's just a very, very good player, and Aberdeen just looked very dangerous, especially at home. I think I watched Sportscene last night and they talked about that's 20 goals they scored at home this season, so they are flying at home. They're going to give anybody a test at home. And again, they came off the back of a disappointing defeat to Hibs at Easter Road before the international break, so it was a huge, huge result. And Aberdeen are going to be up there. There's no doubt they'll be up there chances for 3rd and 4th. I just think Jim Goodson's got a very good side there. They've made a lot of changes during the summer. A lot of really good players have come in. And I think the one thing that I noticed about them as well is they've got a lot of pace going forward. They looked very dangerous yesterday. And I think they'll give anybody a test, especially Pittodrie. As for Kilmarnock, I said this weeks ago, I worry for them. I genuinely think they could go down this season. I think them United could get cut adrift. Horrible, horrible homecoming for Derek McInnes, but he was honest enough to say yesterday that, Aberdeen were the far better side than they were. But defensively, they just look all over the place. And I hope that they're same next week when they play against Hearts at Rugby Park.
When Jim Goodwin came in at first, Graham, everybody thought, well, are they making the right moves and all that? And it took him a few games to get under the table. But he settled in now, and he's building a good team up there.
I think they've got a very good team. I think they look very, very strong defensively. I know they lost the 3 goals against Hibs, but that was they were 10 men. But I just think they've got a very, very good side there. Defensively look a lot better. I think Anthony Stewart and Ross McCrory look quite decent. But it's going forward. And actually, I thought the best player on the pitch yesterday was Hayden Coulson from left back. I thought he was brilliant. But they've just got pace going forward, and that causes teams problems. If you ask any defender what they hate playing against, it's pace. And Aberdeen have that going forward. And they just look a very, very good team overall. I think Jim Goodwin's done a really good job. We all know about Stephen Glass's experiment, and it was a massive failure. Jim Goodwin's a really good manager. He's come in and he's got Aberdeen playing a certain style of football, and they look a very good team. I would not be surprised if they finish 3rd this season. I hope Hearts get there, of course. but I would not be surprised to have any finished third because they just look a very, very strong team. And they're playing some decent stuff as well. They're playing some good football.
Let's look at Jim Goodwin's comments after the game then. He says that we dominated the whole 90 minutes. Overall, I am satisfied with the performance and every player. It's always shows the next game after the it's always a shoes game after the defeat as well. Firstly, it is important that you don't lose focus on the next game, and they certainly never done that. Let's talk about Kilmarnock then, because if you're a Curry fan, it would be worrying times. And we told you on Friday night that McKenna signed a new deal for Kilmarnock, and I thought that was a bit premature, especially by going by yesterday's result as well. Do you think that they kind of jumped the gun there to sign them up in a deal?
Maybe they're just looking for that bit of stability when they go back to the Championship. Sorry, Kilmarnock fans, if you're watching. But maybe a little bit. I think you've got to see how results go before you start offering people contracts. And I don't think the recruitment's been good enough. I think I mentioned this before. I think the recruitment's been very, very poor. I think they had a lot of work to do before the transfer window shut, and they didn't do it. They've only signed Christian Deutsch as another striker. Again, I thought he was pretty poor yesterday, but just all through the team. And the thing is, Ash Taylor gives him a chance. Former Aberdeen player gets a goal back. But defensively, it just looks so poor. Ash Taylor, they've got Lewis Mayo, they've got Joe Wright, and they just look so vulnerable defensively. Every time a team attacks them, they look like they're going to lose a goal. And I thought Zach Hemmings had to make a couple of really good saves yesterday to keep them in the game. But they just look so devoid of options going forward and defensively. And I worry for them. I really think they could be in massive trouble this season, along with United. They just don't look as if they've got enough for me to stay up. And it's a huge, huge letdown for Derek McInnes. I don't know what he does. I mean, I think they've got a hope that they can get to January still in with a decent chance of staying up and then maybe try and recruit a few more. But they just look so poor just now all over the pitch.
Now, I know this is a huge call for me to make, Graham, right? And you can quote me at the end of the season if I'm wrong, right? The 2nd of October, I think Kilmarnock would be in the bottom 6. I know it's right, Eric Collins and all that, because we still got the World Cup to go through and all that, but there's nothing there. It says that, he's going to help Kilmarnock get into the top 6, or he's going to help Kilmarnock score goals as well. And it doesn't help when we spoke on Friday about Kyle Rafa making a kind of social media post with a wee boy over in Northern Ireland. So that just adds fuel to the fire.
Yeah, he was actually on the bench yesterday as well, which I found a bit bizarre after all that, but he was on the bench. But I think St Mirren, I think Kilmarnock will be in the bottom 2, let alone bottom 6. I think they'll be really struggling this season. I just don't see enough about them. I don't see an identity. I don't see what they're trying to do. And I just don't see them scoring enough goals either. They look devoid of ideas all over the pitch. I think midfield, again, Alan Power's a decent player, but he's having to do a lot of work in there. I just think they look very vulnerable all over the pitch. Now I've said that, they'll probably end up beating Hearts next week and I'll have egg on my face, but I just think they look very, very poor. And I think they are going to be in massive trouble. And I don't know what Derek McInnes does to change it, whether it's a change of tactics, whether it's a change of players, but they just look so poor. And again, yesterday, that could have been more than 4, if we're honest. They could have lost a lot more. So they just look very, very poor just now.
Maybe they should start playing that song, Paper Roses, over the tannoy. Maybe that helps them a wee bit. Derek McInnes says after the game, by the way, that was a joke, just in case people thought I was serious, because I'm never serious. Derek McInnes says after disappointing afternoon, I feel the types of goals we lost is nothing really to do with the level we came up against. I feel that we were disappointed with each and every one of them. Decent assessment, but how many times is Derek McInnes going to come out to makes comparison to that statement every week, Graham.
Yeah, I mean, he has been honest, but I don't know what more he can really say. It's every week he's probably saying the same thing. And I'm just trying to look at the stats here. After 8 games, they've lost 16 goals and only scored 4. So that's a huge disappointment. They're losing too many goals and they're not scoring enough, which is not a great blend, let's be honest. And he can't probably criticise too much in public, and he's going to have to work a lot harder on the training ground. But I don't know what it does to change it, because I said I don't think recruitment's been good enough. I think they look very poor all over the pitch. There's probably a couple of decent players in there, but they just don't look good enough for me. And I think they are going to be in huge, huge trouble this season, if they're not already.
Before Kilmarnock takes on Graham and Hearts, they play St Johnstone at home on Wednesday night. Now, a few weeks ago, I would be saying to you, this has got 0-0 written over. But I mean, St Johnstone have really, I know we're going to go on to speak about St Johnstone in a minute, but they've kind of really picked up in the last couple of weeks, and that's the last team that Derek McInnes and Kilmarnock would want to be facing St Johnstone at home as well. Yeah,
I mean, St Johnstone up to 8th now. They've had a bit of a turnaround just now under Callum Davidson, which is massively needed. But yeah, if you're Kilmarnock, you've got to be looking at that game as 3 points. You have to be winning that game. They need to get results on the boards pretty quickly. If they lose that game, then I think they're under all sorts of pressure, and that long-term contract for Derek McInnes might not be the best plan, but they've got to start picking up 3 points, and they need to be looking at that St Johnstone game as thinking, right, this is a game we can get out of. We can get 3 points out of this. But, St Johnstone are on a bit of a decent run just now, so it's going to be a huge, huge game. But Kilmarnock have got to start winning games, and they've got to start winning games quickly.
Yeah, no, definitely. I would say a point's not used to them, especially at home, but especially in the mess that Kilmarnock's in at the moment. Yeah, I don't think Kilmarnock fans would fancy picking up points here, there, and everywhere. It's all about winning games now.
Yeah, especially at home. I mean, these games against teams like St Johnstone, no disrespect to St Johnstone, but their games have got to be looking at 3 points. Get 3 points off that, and then look to then build on that against Hearts next week. Hopefully they don't, but they've got to look to build on that if they can. But they've got to start picking up 3 points. A point for me, okay, it's not a defeat, but you need to win games. They're getting cut adrift already along United, so they've got to start winning games, and they need to be looking at that game on Wednesday thinking, right, this is a game I can get 3 points from. Win that, then try and pick up another 3 points, and then go from there. But they need to start winning, and soon.
Okay, let's go up to Talladice for the Dundee United St Johnstone, not a derby game, but as Dave told us the other night. However, so I was 2-1 to St Johnstone in that one. Stevie May, I don't know about you, Graham, he blows kind of hot and cold. He was on form yesterday enough because they scored a goal and they hit the bar as well. For Dundee United. So what do you think, Graham? The honeymoon period is over for Liam Fox?
I mean, again, I talk about needing to win games, and United needed to win that yesterday, and they were awful. They didn't really do very much. I know they got the goal for Tony Watt late on, but they offered nothing. Yep. And defensively, they're an absolute shambles. I was having a look at the stats earlier. They played 11 games this season so far in league and cup, and they've conceded 30 goals. I mean, that is a huge, huge problem for Liam Fox. They're conceding far too many goals.
And that's not including the European game as well, Graham.
That is including the European game.
That's okay.
But again, I talked about Kilmarnock. In the league, United have only scored 4 goals and conceded 22, and they're on 2 points. So you can see what the issues are. Defensively, they're awful. And again, they don't score enough goals. So, Liam Fox has got a lot of work to do there. Again, I mean, I actually thought the recruitment was okay from Jack Ross. Getting Dylan Levitt, getting Stephen Fletcher, you bringing in Glenn Middleton, Jamie McGrath. I thought the recruitment was okay. And you look back at that first game against Starkmar, they were great. They were fantastic that night. And it's been a slow decline from there. You lose 9-0 to Celtic, and it's just been a huge, huge letdown. I think Liam Fox were hoping to get a win yesterday, but again, they offered very little. And that first goal is so poor. It's a ball over the top. Stevie May's on it. It's a great finish, but it's so poor defending. And, honeymoon over for Liam Fox. It's maybe a bit harsh at the moment, but he needs to start picking up results. They've got a big game against Aberdeen next week at home. You're talking about Kilmarnock to pick up points. United need to pick up points as well, but I don't see where they're going to get them from because they just look so poor as well.
Yeah, I mean, you think, and I know we were talking about that on the show that week, and when next week they get basically hammered in the European game against Alkmaar, but you think that where Dundee United came from at the beginning of the season, they were looking so good, and now after the second leg of the European game and the Celtic game as well, all kind of it was basically like a ticking time bomb, and I think completely wrong for Dundee United.
Yeah, I mean, from the massive high of Alkmaar to then that massive low the week later, and it's just it's been a huge decline from then. You lose 7 goals anywhere, it's a huge letdown. But then it just kept getting worse. 4 against Hearts, 9 against Celtic, and they just defensively look so vulnerable. And I feel sorry for Liam Fox. He's come in. He's not at the transfer window. I feel sorry for him, but I hope he's the right man because I think he's a decent guy, a decent coach. But he needs a lot of help. And again, I think he'll be looking to try and get to January, try and bring in his own players, but they need to start winning games. And yesterday's a massive disappointment. You're at home against a St Johnstone team who have been a bit hot and cold, so they're looking to win that game. But they were very poor. There was nothing about them. And again, it's a good finish for Tony Watt, who came off the bench. It's a good finish from him, but they just look defensively so vulnerable. And every time a team goes forward, they look like losing a goal. So Liam Fox has got to do something to get that sorted. But they just look very, very poor just now at the back.
And I mean, it's funny how the last couple of weeks that Johnson has been picked up by the help of Nicky Clark and Stevie May yesterday. That's Johnson up to 8th place, Graham, as 5 point, and there's a 5-point gap now between 9th and 10th in the league.
Yeah, St Johnstone started picking up a little bit. Fair play to Callum Davidson. He was under a lot of pressure, which did seem harsh, considering the double cup winner not long ago. But if you don't win games, you're going to be under pressure. So he needed that, I think, yesterday. And now they've got a difficult game against Celtic to come up next week, but they're at home. So again, they're looking to try and frustrate. But, I mean, it's a massive win. And I thought Nicky Clark, we said on Friday that he was probably going to score yesterday. He didn't, but he had a decent attempt. But I just think St Johnstone, they're a very strange team. I don't think they ever look like they're going to score a lot of goals, but they don't look like conceding a lot either. So they're a very difficult team. Don't know what you're going to get with them, but that was a massive win yesterday. And fair play to Stevie May. It was a really good finish for that first goal, but they just need to keep picking up results. That's a huge win. Up to 8th. They, I think, will be okay. I don't want to finish top 6 or anything, but I think they'll be okay this season. But it's a massive win yesterday.
Do you think that if they keep Nicky Clark fit and Stevie May fit, they'll be okay this season, Graham?
Yeah, I think they will. I think that's vital, especially Stevie May. I think Stevie May is a really good player. He's a talented player. He probably doesn't get the goals that he should do, but he's one of these guys that his work rate's really good. He offers a lot to the team in terms of, his work rate, and it's just the goals he needs to get. But it's a great finish. He's got a lot of time to think about that. The ball's through. It's a really good goal. And he does bring a lot to the team. And I think if him and Nicky Clark can get a decent understanding going, which it looks like they've got already, then yeah, they'll be absolutely fine. But I don't think they'll get top 6, but I don't think they'll be too far off it.
Callum Davison's quotes after the game says, we carried out the game plan very well. We took our chances, some very good goals in there as well. And he was saying that he's happy to see Stevie May back as well. So, good win for St Johnstone, but a very difficult game coming up next Saturday at home to Celtic.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to think that Celtic will win that, but if St Johnstone could do what St Mirren did a couple of weeks ago, it could be a difficult test. And the way Stevie May's playing just now, again, he could cause Celtic problems. But again, results against Celtic are not really going to define St Johnstone's season. They'll just be looking at maybe trying to not get hammered. But it's a huge game. It's a huge game for both, for St Johnstone and Celtic. And you don't know what Celtic are going to be like after the European game. You know, could they be a bit jet lagged? Could they be under a bit of pressure? You just never know what you're going to get with Celtic next week. But it's a huge result for St Johnstone yesterday. They needed that win. And if they could build on that next week, what a massive lift that would be.
Dundee United head coach, he's a head coach as well, Graham. He's not a manager now. We think that makes me funny. I don't know why. He says we're disappointed on how we came in 2-0 down at half time, and we certainly can't give teams goals away with what we're doing at the moment. We have to play well and tighten up at the back as well. So again, fair comment from Liam Fox, or I'm going to call him Foxy. But it needs to build up wins and performances as well, because with the highlights that we saw last night, Dundee United never really threatening this Johnson goal.
Nah, momentum's a big thing in football, and United don't really have any of that yet. They brought a new manager in, Liam Fox, who he's very inexperienced as a manager, so it's a difficult job for him. But I mean, he's probably not under massive pressure, because I don't think people expect United to do anything this season. But the one thing they'll be looking for is not to get relegated. And at the moment, I know it's only 8 games played, but at the moment they look like they could be one of the teams that could be in massive trouble this season. But they've got to defend better. I mean, I don't know if it's a case of like Kilmarnock changing formation a little bit, maybe being a bit more defensive and trying to stop losing goals and then try and build on that. But Fox has got a difficult job on his hands, because they just look very vulnerable at the back. Every time a team looks like score against them, it's a huge letdown. But I think Fox is he'll be given plenty of time. You know, I just think it's I mean, I don't want to say this, but I think Jack Ross has left them in a bit of a really bad run, and Liam Fox is going to have to try and come in and deal with that. So I don't know what he does, but he needs to start getting results quickly, as I said. And I don't know how he's going to do that, because they just look very poor defensively, and I don't think, apart from Tony Watt, I don't think they're going to score enough going forward.
Now, it's another into the show, Graham, right? And I'm going to say the first joke of the day. Maybe what they need is the fox in the box.
Boom, boom.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm here all week.
I hope not.
Yeah, well, no, I hope not as well. I need my bag sometimes as well. Let's go up to Dingwall and Ross County now. Hibs 2. Good away win for Hibs, Graham. But I must say that it's been a good few days for Ryan Porteous.
It's a shame, isn't it? I might have to start actually saying nice things about him now. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, fair play to him. You know, he comes off the back of a really good performance for Scotland. He scores the goal yesterday, the first goal, and he defended well. Words I never thought I'd say about Ryan Porteous, but he defended well yesterday. He led from the back, and it was a good result for Hibs. They're up to 4th. Disappointing for me. But no, there's a bit of momentum for Hibs now. You know, they beat Aberdeen before the international break, so they're on a good run with Lee Johnson just now. Hopefully that doesn't last too long. Sorry, Hibs fans watching. But no, it's a massive win at Ross County. I thought Ross County were quite poor, to be honest. I didn't really see a lot from them. And I've been a massive fan of them so far this season. But they were poor yesterday, and Hibs deserved to win. First half, there wasn't a lot in it. I think we'll say it wasn't a classic. That's a word that gets used quite a lot. But second half, Hibs were the far better team. They get the goal straight after half-time, and after that, there was only ever one winner. Martin Boyle wraps the game up late on, and it was deserved. You know, County offered very little, but it's a massive win for Hibs. They're on 14 points just now, so yeah, a good little run for Hibs just now, and hopefully that doesn't continue for me.
I can't believe this, Graham, that that's Hibs' just third away win in the last 13 league attempts. So that's what you had to believe. Up in Ross County, so I say.
Yeah, I mean, Hibs had 24 attempts yesterday, which away from home is quite incredible, especially against a team like Ross County, who are normally hard to beat. So it's a huge victory. And as I said, you're looking at Ryan Porteous, and a guy that I've slagged off numerous times on this show. But he was very good yesterday. As I say, he defended well and they got that all-important first goal to give him the breakthrough. And after that, Hibs never really looked back. They were very controlled, very dominant, and never really let Ross County get back into the game. So, yeah, a huge 3 points for Hibs at a very difficult venue. And I think Lee Johnson will quite rightly be very, very happy man.
Yeah, because not a lot of teams go up there, Graham, and find it easy. Easy the highlights that we saw and score 2 goals as well.
Yeah, and as I say, they could have scored more. They had 9 shots on target, so they were the dominant team. And had they taken a few more chances, it could have been a lot more. But to go up to the Highlands is never easy, and they've managed to get that 3 points and play very well. From what I saw, they played really well. So huge 3 points for Hibs, and they're looking up the table. You're sitting in 4th place. They're in a good place just now. Hopefully that doesn't last too long, but they're in a good place. They're in a good place right now.
Okay, let's hear from Graham's best pal Lee Johnson after the game. He's a manager. Graham, by the way, he's not a coach. Sorry, I'll stop this very soon. I thought in the first half we had lots of control of the game without a cutting edge, and he was saying that, and he goes on to say that it's been a good week for Ryan Porteous as well. I mean, Graham, I've got to hold my hands up and say I was with you a few weeks ago because I kept saying on the show or shows now that he's very kind of overrated, but I think he answered some of his critics back on Wednesday night playing for Scotland, and then scoring a goal yesterday for Hibs.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there are times where Porteous is still a bit rash, and he goes into a challenge that he can't win. And we look at the Aberdeen game, and he cheated to win a penalty. Let's be honest, but the last couple of games against Ukraine, on his debut and again yesterday, he was really good. I'm not going to sit here and say that he wasn't. He was very impressive. So he's obviously got a massive lift from getting not only called up to that Scotland game, but actually to play as well as he did. And to get the goal yesterday as well to set Hibs on the way to 3 points was very, very impressive. So yeah, Porteous has done well last couple of games. He needs to now build on that and keep doing that for the rest of the season. And if he does, then fair enough. But it's a huge 3 points for Hibs yesterday. They needed that, I think. They need to build on that win for the Aberdeen game. They've done that. And now they need to build on that when they play against Motherwell next week at Easter Road. So huge 3 points. Massive positive for Hibs and for Ryan Porteous.
Malcolm Mackay says after the game, I was really pleased with the way that we played in the first half. I thought we caused them plenty of problems down the left-hand side. And it goes on to say about the second half was very disappointing with the level of performance. You mentioned about the Hibs playing on... the Ross County playing this weekend. They're actually playing Motherwell on Tuesday night, so I presume that this is some of the games that they're trying to get back before the World Cup.
I think it will be, yeah.
And Motherwell plays Hibs on. Yeah, Motherwell plays Hibs on Saturday as well. So there's a few games on during the week. Okay, let's go up to Paisley then. One of the kind of improved teams is St Mirren. Now, I did tell you on Friday, Graham, that this is going to be a very, it looks as though it was a decent game on paper, 2-1 to St Mirren. I think St Mirren's scouring a bit of a high after beating Celtic the other week. At St Mirren Park.
If you just said to me a few weeks ago that St Mirren would be up to third in the league, I'd have laughed at you. I mean,
and maybe in Europe if the league finishes tonight.
Well, you never know. But no, they've had such a huge run. Very impressive. I was very critical of Stephen Robertson. A lot of St Mirren fans were at the start of the season. A really poor League Cup campaign. Obviously, they got hammered by Aberdeen at Pittodrie, and they've been. They've come back really well. And I think they got beat by St Johnstone 3-0 a few weeks ago. But, I mean, what a reaction they've had. To beat Celtic you've then got to try and build on that. I think the international break came at the wrong time for them, having beat Celtic. But to then follow that up by beating Livingston yesterday, and again, from what I saw, I actually thought Livingston played quite well in terms yesterday. But St Mirren just have something about them just now. They look a solid unit. They look decent going forward. I mean, they've got two goalkeepers now. The boy that got sent off, Ayunga, and their normal goalkeeper. So, I mean, St Mirren were very good yesterday. 2 really good goals. And I just think that, they're sitting third in the league with 15 points. I could not have predicted that a few weeks ago. So fair play to Robinson and St Mirren.
Do you think that Stephen Robertson will be put in the same bracket as Jim Goodwin? Because when he came into St Mirren, I kind of feared for St Mirren a wee bit. But now, over the past 2 weeks, they've actually picked up points, but dominating games as well.
Yeah, well, they had such a poor start to the season. As I talked about the League Cup, they had such a poor start in that, and you just thought St Mirren could be in trouble. So fair play to Robinson. He's obviously recruited well. He's doing a lot of good things in training. The players are buying into that, and they're picking up wins. And that's the name of the game, isn't it? They've got to pick up wins, and that's a huge win yesterday. Livingston, as we know, are a tough team to play against. David Martindale's got them well set up. And I thought they did deserve it yesterday, but Livingston competed really well. I thought Livingston played well as well. And, if you look at the fact that when they got back to 1-1, St Mirren missed a penalty. Sean Kelly missed a penalty that, could have won them the game. So, it's all ifs and buts. But if that penalty goes in, they're 2-1 up. You never know what could happen. But fair play to St Mirren. They've got the 3 points, and they're doing really well so far. Again, they've now got to follow that up next week when they play against Rangers at Ibrox, which is going to be tough. But fair play to St Mirren. They've had a really good run, and to be sitting third in the league after 8 games is quite a turnaround.
That's going to be a big test for St Mirren this week going to Ibrox. But in saying that, because Rangers has got this big game on Wednesday, I keep wanting to say Wednesday night. It's just kind of against Liverpool, but you never know what could happen. Stephen Robertson says after the game, we won't get too carried away with we won't get too carried away with our position in the league at the moment. It was a horrible game and a very scrappy game as well. But all it mattered was the 3 points as well. So very honest assessment there. But I think the highlight package done well. If Stephen Robertson said it was a very scrappy game, but there you go. And our pal David Martindale says that fair play to St Mirren, 2 sets of players, and we lost a game of football. Well, I didn't really know that you had 2 sets of players in football and get beat. That's news to me. Was it news to you, Glenn? He said their defeat. The defeat. What he says that we weren't up on our usual game today. So well done to St Mirren to get 3 points, and that's a very honest. That's what I write about David Martindale, Glenn, because he's very honest.
Yeah, he is. He comes across really well. He's a hard guy not to like. He's always very positive. He always speaks really well. And he is a very honest guy. You sometimes get managers that say different things to the press, but he's very honest. He says it as it is, and that's what I like about him. He's just a very humble, down-to-earth guy, and, he was very honest again in his assessment. I thought, as I said, I think Livingston actually played quite well yesterday in spells, and that missed penalty was huge. If they score that, they've got a chance to win the game, but, Sean Kelly blazed over the bar, and St Mirren win the game in the last minute. But fair play to St Mirren. Is a huge 3 points, but I think Livingston can feel a bit aggrieved they've not taken something out of that game.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that is your weekend roundup of the football then. Just to tell you on, because I've got the games here. On Tuesday night, Ross County against Motherwell. Wednesday, as we were talking about, the Kilmarnock against Johnson. And then we've got the Premiership back next weekend. Some interesting games, especially the one at Ibrox game. But, it's a different game. When you go to Ibrox and Skigger coming to St Mirren being a very difficult game.
Yeah, St Mirren will make that tough. You know, as you've just mentioned, the fact that Rangers play Liverpool, that's going to be a huge game. There might be changes for that game, you never know. So St Mirren will think they've got a chance at Ibrox. If they can keep it tight first 20 minutes, as I said to them about Hearts, don't concede early. If you can keep yourself in the game, you've got a chance. And I know that they play Celtic at St Mirren Park, but if they can put in that performance that they did against Celtic at Ibrox, they'll think they've got a chance there. It'll be difficult, but they've got a chance there.
Got to say, well done to Alice McColding, Graham. I don't know if you saw this, but she won the Great Scottish Run today.
Yeah, I had noticed that earlier. Fair play to her. She's doing really well just now.
Yeah, no, exactly. And she won it, and Leslie Bell was second as well. Ruth Jones was third. That was in the women's race. So yeah, talking about marathons, we're on till 5 o'clock tonight. No, it's not a marathon, Graham. It's a sprint. That's what I keep saying to you every week. But the London Marathon's on as well today. And talking about women's sports, we spoke about this on Friday night. Scotland will play Austria on Thursday night, and if they win that one, they will play Republic of Ireland again at Hampden Park on the 11th of October. So let's just concentrate in the Austria game then. Thursday night, the 6th of October at Hampden Park. And I will just get the ticket prices up for you. Individual ticket prices are £10 for adults, £5 for concessions. And of course, Reagan was telling us on the show on Friday, if you're a member of the Scotland Supporters Club, you have got a free ticket to enter this game. And if you want more details on that, you can go to the Scottish FA website, that's scottishfa.co.uk, and you can find all the information there. So another big game for Pedro Martina on on Thursday night, Graham.
Yeah, it is, and I said on Friday they've not lost Austria yet, so it's a great chance to beat Austria. I think it's going to be a huge game, and hopefully the girls have got a decent crowd at Hampden. If you can get along, you should probably try and go, because it could be a really good night. And if they win that, they play Republic of Ireland on the 11th of October, which is my birthday, by the way. So anyone that wants to send me a card, feel free. No, but it's what a massive game for the ladies that'll be. If they can win that, to be one game away from a potential World Cup, it would be huge. But it'll be a hard game. But as I said, they've not lost Austria yet. Hope I'm not just jinxed that. But what a massive game this can be. Hopefully Scotland get their job done and get that game against Ireland. And if they can, 90 minutes away, what an occasion that could be.
And obviously we'll be on Thursday night as well, Graham. Our work's going to be busy this week, because as well as go on to speak about the Hearts game, we'll be talking about the Scotland game and Austria. And by the time we come on the air, that game will be finished. Now, maybe I'm being ignorant here, Graham, but it's Austria. I think it's a one-off game. It's not a two-leg game.
It's a one-off game, yeah.
Yeah. So even better, actually. But if it goes to penalty kicks, but I hope it doesn't, we'll be covered in the whole game as well. So that's Thursday night. If we beat Austria, then we'll be playing Republic of Ireland on the 11th of October, and get Graham's basket. And as I said, going Friday night, all the best people is born in October, because my basket is on the 25th. And if you want to send me a wee check, no, I'm only kidding. Well, you can just sort of tell I'm not actually sure. But I think I've put these details up on the Locker Room Twitter page as well, how to get into the game. But if I haven't, I will put them up. But I'm sure I'll put them up. Individual tickets price £10 for adults and £5 for concessions. Now I know what you're thinking. That me and Graham will certainly Graham will get a concession. One more year and I'll be there. But
I'm not that old.
Yeah, you know it now. Okay, putting up with Reagan for weeks. But,
I might look it, but I'm not really.
No, you're not hot. Yeah. The bluebells. Yeah. Gets good chance, tack ever so slightly grim. Don't know if you saw the story today that Cameron Norrie, basically it says number one player is out of the Japan Open after testing, but because he's got COVID.
I haven't seen that, but that's disappointing. I mean, I think this is the thing. I think people now don't. There's this thing that I think a lot of folk think, "Oh, COVID's away now." It's not. It's still here. It's still It's still very affecting people. So we just need to be very careful. And unfortunately for Cammy Norrie, the fact he's out is a huge, huge blow. But hopefully, his main thing is he's okay and he gets back very soon.
Yeah, the 27-year-old pulled out of the quarterfinal. Right, okay, so he was in quarterfinal action on the Friday, Graham, and he had to pull out a bit. Unfortunately, the tournament coming up in Korea, he was posting. I got a bit tongue tied so that again. It was positive. It was positive, and COVID. There you go, and won't be able to compete for the rest of the matches. Norrie was quoted on Instagram saying, "I have no symptoms, but I have no symptoms, and I feel 100%. I'm fine. I was really hoping to go to Tokyo, but because of the quarantine period, I will not be able to play there." That's the thing about COVID, Graham, because like you could be feeling well, you could be feeling 100%, but you don't know it. You don't know the minute until you've got COVID.
Yeah, well, I've had it, and I was pretty much bedridden for like 2 days, and I had to keep doing my tests, obviously. And I felt fine. I think it was day 4 or 5, but I still did the test and I kept coming up positive. Day 6 and 7, I still kept testing positive, even though I felt fine. And I thought, oh, when's this going to end? I think it was eventually day 9 or 10. I was fine to come out of isolation, but it does hit you hard when you get it. I think there's somebody that I know, one of my wife knows, that has had it 3 times, but they've had all the jabs and stuff. So, you can still get it, which is it's horrible when you get it, but just hopefully Cammy Norrie's okay and he gets back to full fitness pretty soon. But it's a huge letdown for him that he's had to pull out.
Yeah, no, definitely. A bit. Talking about tennis, it was brilliant to see Andy Murray competing the other week. Okay, they got beaten, never made the finals, but it was good. It was good to see Andy Murray playing and a big sporting event back in Glasgow.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we keep talking about we'd love to see Andy Murray get back to full fitness, but that's never going to happen. Let's be honest, he's getting older now. But I just think Andy Murray has been such a phenomenal sportsman for Scotland. He's up there with probably one of the best. And just to get him back playing at any kind of level is great to see. And it was also actually nice to see as well that they had that double with Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal.
Yeah.
And it was great to see the pair of them playing together. They are 2 phenomenal athletes as well. So to see them and see the kind of emotion that they had, it was brilliant to see. And, it's going to be hard to see the likes of those players again in tennis because they were phenomenal. Same with Andy Murray as well. So it feels like the end of an era, but hopefully at the start of a new one, if we can get the other youngsters coming through, that'll be great.
Yeah, no, definitely as well, and I'll try and get the hockey results as well, because there was a big story, we never got onto that on Friday, Graham, I don't think we really want to go down that road. But with a big story, you don't expect kind of big stories coming out from the world of hockey.
No, you don't. And it was always a very controversial story. So, I mean, it's hard to see where you take this, but it was a huge story. And I've never been I've been at a couple of ice hockey games before, but that was a long time ago. So I've not really kept track of the whole story, but I know what it's about, and it's a hugely controversial story in hockey.
Go back to football, Graham, and I know we always speak about this every week, and because it's me and you's favourite subject, apart from talking, being on the show, Queen's Park. If you want to see the full story, it's in today's Sunday Post. But the Queen's Park chief executive, Leanne Dempska, was talking about the TV deal. And as soon as I say TV deal, Graham's like that, oh no, my favourite subject. So he's basically calling for fair distribution of money throughout the Scottish Professional Football League. TV money with clubs without Premiership is hard and to compete. So I know you've maybe not saw these comments before, Graham. It's just come out today in the Sunday Post. We haven't really spoke about the TV deal. We kind of touched upon it on Friday. We heard David Martindale speaking about it. What do you think, Graham? Are you sold on the idea? I mean, I think it's one of these ones where you just have to suck up and take it, but still not happy with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think our colleagues Dave and James have mentioned the fact that nobody else seems to have actually taken this up. It's only Sky, so we've got to go with the deal that's on the table. But I mean, I'm not a massive fan of Neil Doncaster. I don't know what he does all day, and I think he needs to come out and tell the fans. I think I've heard a few people saying that Neil Doncaster doesn't care about the fans, and they're right. He doesn't. I just think that the TV deal is going to suit the bigger teams like Rangers and Celtic. It's not. I mean, I said this before as well. You're not seeing. There's no Championship highlights. There's no League One highlights. There's no League Two highlights. It's only the Premiership. And the one thing I would say, as I said on Friday, the one thing I would say that's good about it, the women's game is going to get shown, which is great. But I think Reagan said it's only like 5 games or something. But I mean, it's the only deal on the table, so you've got to take it. But I mean, Scottish football, I've said this before, Scottish football gets a real kick in, not just from people in England, but from Scottish folk as well that see Scottish football as a bit of a, I don't know what the right word is, but just folk talk it down quite a lot. And a lot of folk have talked this deal down. So it is the only deal on the table, so you've got to accept it. But I'm not convinced if I'm sold on it or not.
Yeah, I'm not kind of like sold on it as well. And yeah, so let's stick with the women's game, Graham, because I had a conversation yesterday about the TV deal, and I was thinking, well, to me that is a slap in the face to the women's game. 5 games. I mean, if you were going to show 5 games, to me, you'd be as well to show no games.
I think they show a lot more on BBC Alba, which is a Gaelic channel you can't understand because I don't speak Gaelic. But they show a lot of women's game on these channels, and it's great. And they've got, I think BBC One on a Sunday. I think they've got a dedicated highlights package, or Monday night even. They've got a dedicated highlights package, which is great. And that's great to see the women's game getting highlighted more. You were hoping that with Sky they might show a few more, but 5 games, as you say, is probably pointless. But I mean, in a way, at least it is getting shown, but it's not enough. I think the way they do it on the Gaelic channel is great, but you just don't. You can only kind of make out names. You can't make out anything else they're saying. But at least the BBC Scotland Gaelic programme, it does show these games live, and it's great. And I just think they probably could do a lot more to highlight these games, but it is you know what I say, it's Scotland. People talk it down, and this is probably one of the reasons why.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I think that's a slap in the face and to Scottish football, but also, and I don't want to go over old ground, Glenn, but the other week it was brilliant to see the ITV4 taking the Scotland game. But I mean, if they were going to take it for one game, why not take it for the other two games? It feels a bit daft to me. And I think I said to you on the show, or maybe it was after the show or whatever, but I think I was saying to you, why not put the Scotland game on the main channel instead of go? Because I know a few people that didn't realise that the Scotland game was on.
I know I got a message from my mate at that Scotland-Ukraine game to say, the game not on telly? I can't find it. And I went, it's only on Premier Sports. I think it was one of the games of the day. And he's like, oh, great. And then the game before that, when it was on ITV4, he's like, I didn't notice this was on. So you're right. There's a few folk didn't know that. But why they only showed one game on that was pointless. And then you've got to pay for the rest of it. But I guess, the Ukraine game last week was the bigger game. And that's from Premier Sports. So you had to pay for it. So, and I said this before, you've got your own dedicated BBC Scotland channel. Why are you not showing the games? Why are you not showing the games on that? That would make far more sense to me.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's a bit like I was saying today as well that because you've got the Great Scottish Run on today, why not put that on the Scottish channel as well? Because you're never going to see it without, or you'll see bits of it maybe on the news or in newspapers and all that. But why not? Why not put it on Scottish TV?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we don't do enough to highlight these kind of things, and I just think you've got your own dedicated BBC Scotland channel. Show these games on that, and again, I keep going back to this: the fact that on a Saturday night, on a Sunday night, you've got your BBC Sports and highlights of the games of the weekend, but you don't have the Championship, you don't have League One, you don't have League Two. Now, Reagan spoke about the fact that in England you've got the money that you can show, like the match of the day, and you've got your own dedicated other leagues as well. But surely you should be highlighting this more and showing. You could even do a 2-hour sportsing program from like 7 till 9, where you could show an hour of the Scottish Premiership highlights, and then you could have the hour of Championship, League One, and League Two. I mean, how difficult is that?
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because on Saturday night now on STV, I don't know if you've noticed that they've got a program to, by the way, before mentioning that, I've got to say that me and Graham's not slagging the TV channels off. By the way, we're just making a point that, it should be more kind of recognised and highlighted. But I don't know if you'd noticed, Graham, on the Saturday night on STV, you've got Championship highlights.
Yeah, they show that on, they do like 9 till 10 or 9 till half 10 or something on ITV4. And then at ITV, they show it again later. So they've got basically two different channels showing the highlights packages. And on Scottish football, they don't have any highlights packages for Championship, League One and League Two, which I think is ridiculous. So the only way, if you're like let's say a Dunfermline fan or a Falkirk fan, the only way you can see the game or see the highlights of your game or see the game is if you go to the game or you've got the TV channel. Other than that, you can't see the game. So it's pointless. I just think it's ridiculous that they don't have a separated highlights package for all these games.
Yeah, no, I know, and it would be interesting to find out if that's in the deal as well. But it was interesting that I don't know if you remember that Michael Grant was on the show last week, and we were talking about the TV deal, and he was saying about because I posed a question to him about, are you not surprised that Rangers and Livingston are not fully signed up to the deal? Well, obviously they are now, but at the time they weren't. And Michael Grant was at that. Well, I'm not really surprised at Rangers. Were you surprised that Michael said that, or do you understand why he said that?
I can understand it. I mean, I think maybe I was a bit surprised at Livingston, but they eventually, I think, have agreed to it. And I think Martindale was pretty much the same. It's like, well, it's the only TV deal you're going to get, so you've just got to go for it. Rangers, on the other hand, I wasn't massively surprised. it's only taken about 5 years to get the whole thing with BBC results, so it wasn't a massive surprise. But, I mean, I just think there's too much squabbling between teams and stuff, and I just think Scottish football needs to be put on the map a lot more. Now, I think what Scotland have done this last few weeks has done that, but I just think that at times Scottish football does get talked down, and this TV deal, some folk like it, some folk don't like it. You're never going to get a majority liking it, but it's just unfortunately the way it is. We just have to put up with it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I would be good to see more games kind of like highlighted as well. But yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you, Glenn, because when Rangers and maybe when Hearts were out of the league as well, and all you saw was a Rangers game and Hearts game every the week. But if you are like, say, a Cowgan Beast fan, you would want to see the Cowgan Beast highlights of that particular weekend. Okay, they're not playing against Rangers, they're playing against someone else, but you would expect to see that game. And the only way that you'll get to see Cowgan Beef is as if they were playing Rangers or Hearts.
Yeah, and I think even when Rangers were in the lower leagues, like starting at League 3, their games were getting shown on TV. I can't remember which channel it was, but a lot of their games got shown on TV, like against like teams like Annan and Elgin. So they got to see their team live on TV, but only because it was Rangers that were playing.
I think it was BT Sport at the time, Graham. I'm not entirely sure.
I just came into which one it was, but I knew that a lot of the games got shown. So I just think they need to do a lot more to show these like other leagues as well, because it's not just Premier League; it's the whole of Scotland. Like showing the women's game, as I said, is getting highlighted on BBC. Why not do Championship, League 1, League 2, and have a highlights package for them dedicated to them? And I just think, again, it's such a poor deal. And again, before the games yesterday, I was listening to Sports End on the radio yesterday, and they were talking to all the managers before the games, because this month VAR is getting introduced to Scottish football. I don't know when the first game is going to be. And a lot of the managers were asked about that, and they went, well, if it's going to help, then absolutely fine. But again, this month we're going to get VR coming in, and that's going to be another massive talking point. We're always told that VR is going to help things and it's going to make things more beneficial. I'm interested to see how this is going to work. Really, I am. That first game, they're going to be under a lot of pressure to get it right. I know it won't be. There's going to be bugs in the system. It's going to be difficult. But whoever gets that first game for VAR, that's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but also, Graham, as well, that nobody spoke about this, or maybe that's what part of the money for. But say, Tynecastle, I might put Tynecastle in this as well, but out with Celtic and Rangers, not a lot of people get like monitors at the grounds, where the fans can see as well. So I'm thinking about Fir Park.
Yeah, I know that. I mean, Hearts got a couple of cues put up last week, which actually looked quite nice, to be fair. I'd be taking that if it was me. But no, I think there probably are teams that need to get their acting gear, because I don't know when the actual VR comes in, whether it's end of the month, I'm not sure, but I know it is this month. So teams are going to have to get these screens up pretty quickly. And, when you're a fan at the stadium and you're watching that big screen, you're like, oh, what's happening? Is it going to get given? Is it not going to get given? What's going to happen? It's great. And that probably is quite exciting, but I just hope that it doesn't get used as poor as it does in England, because even now, after all this time, it's still a bit of a farce in England. And I just hope that's not the same here, but I've got a feeling it's going to be, because it is Scotland, let's be honest, it's going to happen.
Yeah, and also, Glenn, you might not be surprised to hear that when they do a big report in the paper or whatever, they might see that Scotland's the last country in the last country in the footballing world to have VAR. I mean, why not put VAR at the beginning of the season?
Well, that's exactly it. That's when it should have been brought in. Then a lot of these things that have happened this season could have get stamped out. But pardon the pun on camera, everyone there. But no, a lot of these things could have got rubber, stamped out. And I just think bringing it in during the season is pointless. It's going to be in at the start of a season. So bringing it in now, I suppose it's better than bringing it in January or December. But I just think it should have been in at the start of the season. Every team then knows they need to get the screens up. They need to get this. They need to get that. We all know it's coming in. But to bring it in October does seem a little bit pointless. And I just think it's going to be an absolute farce. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, no, definitely. But are they not running in a wee bit earlier? Because was it not meant to be December, Graham?
It was meant to be after the World Cup, but then they decided
Yeah.
to bring it. They decided to bring it in before that, which again is fine. But it should have been at the start of the season. Then everyone knows what to expect. But to bring it in like now, a couple of months after the season started, does seem a little bit pointless. But once it gets up and running, hopefully it'll work fine. But I'm just very concerned about how it's going to look.
Well, I mean, to me, like, if this Gasagi keep running now, why did they not decide to run it in the first game of the season?
Yeah, the thing there's been a lot of already this season. There's been a lot of controversial decisions that VR might have overturned. You know, you look at the Ryan Porteous one against Aberdeen last week as a prime example of that. So there's a lot of stuff that could have been overturned by now. But listen, it's going to come in now. We know that it's coming in a few weeks' time, whenever it is, and it'll be interesting to see how our referees use it. If it's as bad as it in England, then I would worry, because it's not the technology; it's the folk that use it. That's the issue, and that's the same issues in England. It's never been about the VR; it's about the way it's used. So if we use it properly, then I've got no problem with it. But if it's getting used for really pointless things, then that's going to be a massive problem.
Now, Graham, I'm going to hit a nerve, mate, right, just to warn you. But there was an incident at the game yesterday, the Celtic game, and you never saw this on the highlights, right? But it was Kyogo. It was breaking away, right? And it was just about 2 inches kind of like off the ball, right? And the linesman put his flag up, right? And suddenly I was thinking about you at the time, because we had this conversation.
That's a scary thought.
It was, yeah, that's why it was offside. But no, and that's when I was thinking about you in a nice way, because the rules were offside that if you you're not offside until you touch the ball, and then when you touch the ball, you're offside, right? But yesterday at the game, as I say, Kyogo was breaking through, and the ball was put in front of him, and the linesman then put up his flag, and I basically come round to say to somebody, okay, he's offside, but is he not meant to touch the ball first? And you know, and it's kind of, see, that rule kind of annoys me as well, because they should just left the rule like that, Glim, instead of making it more difficult.
I absolutely hate that rule. It's one of the worst rules that they could have brought in. You know, we spoke about this before, that someone's going to get hurt eventually, you know, in this. You look at that Ukraine game in Scotland last week. How many times was that boy through and the guy put his flag up 10 minutes later? It's a pointless rule. If you know he's offside, get the flag up. Whoever brought this idea in that you've got to touch the ball and then go through and then the flag goes up, I hate it. It's one of the worst rules in football so far. That needs to get changed now, because eventually somebody's going to get hurt. You know, the ball is going to go through, the striker is going to go through and goal, defender's going to make a challenge, someone's going to get hurt, and the flag will go up. Get it up when you know it's offside. I hate it. It really does my nutting.
I told you I had in there we must get Duff there, but no, that's a good point. You know, I mean, everybody knew when Kyogo touched the ball, he was offside. But as I say, he wasn't anything near the ball, and the linesman gave offside. And I basically said, well, you know what, you know, it should have just waited, or it should have just, you know, that kept the rules where they were. I mean, why change the rules as well?
I don't know. I don't know why they changed that rule. It's such a stupid idea. You know, if you think the guy's onside, then leave the flag down and VAR will sort it if the ball goes in the net. Other than that, if you know if it's clearly offside, stick the flag up. It's just pointless waiting that long to stick the flag up. It really is. Honestly, it drives me. I wish I brought that up. It drives me nuts. I hate it. I hate it.
You hate it, but you like this bit of news, Graham, right? Because Scotland, as I say, on Friday, right? Scotland, the cerebral palsy team, they're playing over in. Let me get this right now. They are playing in Italy. Nice and hot bit of the world, not like here. Scotland are through to the semi-final. So they won the semi-final against Japan 5-1. And tomorrow they play the final. Tomorrow night they play the final against Colombia or Chile. So well done to the Scotland cerebral palsy team, won by 5-1 over in Japan, and that's brilliant to see. But again, it's like what we were talking about early on. We would like to see sports like that getting highlighted more of them.
100%. I mean, the feel-good factor in Scotland just now is great. You've got the cerebral palsy in the final. You've got Scotland men's team on a high. The women's team are in the playoff next week. It's just Scotland is a really good place just now. And yeah, absolutely getting these sports highlighted is fantastic. Brilliant for the men's cerebral palsy team. Absolutely fantastic. And hopefully, if they win the final, brilliant. But the fact they've got there is fantastic. It really is.
And also, just to let you know as well, Graham, that as well as the men's and the women's in football, right? We've got the Women's Rugby World Cup coming up, and Scotland's in that as well.
Yeah, we are. I don't actually know where that starts. I've not checked that, but
it begins when is it 8th next Friday?
Oh, I think you're right. I'm sure it was about that time. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, just a great time for Scottish sport. Just it's fantastic. Really good.
Yeah, no, exactly. And also, the talking about other sports as we always do on the show. The Glasgow, well, we were talking about the Glasgow Clan, the ice hockey team. They haven't got a game for another 5 days. They are playing the Coventry at Braehead Arena. A lot of people used to say that to me, Graham, Michael, go to Coventry. And I didn't know what that means, but, and I'm still on Coventry because people don't speak to me apart from you, so thanks for that. So that is next weekend at 7:00 kickoff because we always like to keep up with other sports as well. But yeah, I mean, just to go back to the Champions League games, Graham, in the Conference League. It's a big week for Hearts, Celtic, and Rangers.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it all starts on Tuesday with Liverpool Rangers. I mean, that's Battle of Britain games. Celtic have played Liverpool before. Even a Hearts fan will look forward to this. It's going to be a huge test for Rangers and for Liverpool. As I said, Liverpool not in the best of form. Rangers with that hammering against Hearts yesterday. So it's a huge test. If Rangers can go there and get even a point out of that game, I think they'd be delighted with that. But Champions League and Conference League, it's great to see 3 Scottish teams in European football again. And I think it could be a massive test for all of them. I do think Celtic can beat Leipzig. I do think Celtic will win that game. I think Rangers could easily get something out of Liverpool because Liverpool have been really poor just now. And Hearts, it's a difficult game, but if we can take 3 points off Fiorentina, we've got a glorious chance to get out this group, which would be huge. So it's a real test this week. But hopefully, well, maybe not hopefully because I want Liverpool to win, but hopefully the Scottish teams can do ourselves proud this month, but it's going to be such a massive test for all of them.
You were talking about the World Cup. So it begins on the 8th of October to the 12th of November. And Scotland's up against it, Graham, by the way. Then Pool A, the Australia, Wales, and New Zealand. And
yeah, I knew they had a hard one because New Zealand are the holders as well.
Yep. Yeah. Are they not the home nation? Are they not holding the tournament? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you've probably got to fancy New Zealand win the whole thing, especially being at home. But it's a huge test for Scotland, so it's going to be tough. But you never know. Stranger things have happened.
I mean, I know the game's not plaguing paper and all the old cliches that people come down and says, but I think you're only hoping that Scotland would maybe get a win against Wales. But in saying that, you never know. But we could be sitting here on the 12th of October with Scotland in the final. But
we need maybe a Michael Sheen style speech for Scotland.
Maybe if we can send Delia Smith over. Remember when Skug in the centre circle, one of the what team gigs they on again?
That was Norwich against Man City. She did that for, and they lost.
And was it something that "Come on, Nan" or something? That was my best female's accent there, but
it was if I can remember, it was, "We need a 12th man here. Where are you? Where are you? Let's be having you."
Graham singing great game. Some get like EastEnders there. Was that? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I know where my washing league's done, but that's another story for another show. I like people that's tuning in on Sunday because they get football, they get basketball, they get everything, and you have Delia Smith's impressions as well. Brilliant. Talking about other sports, Glasgow graduate. So I keep calling them Glasgow Gladiators. They're not called Glasgow. They're called
Gladiators.
Reggae, yes.
Contenders. Reggae.
Maybe we should get the wee guy on the show. Remember the Scottish ref? Do you know the guy I'm talking about?
I remember him.
Yeah.
His name was John something. I remember him.
I was hoping that when I gave it the big build up there, Glenn would say, "No, I don't know what you mean." But I'm glad that you said that there. So yeah, it didn't make me eat humble pie. So Caledonian Gladiators are playing Surrey tonight in the BBL Cup, and it's at the Emirates Arena, and it's kicking off in about 14 minutes time. So if you've got a helicopter, you can make the game for 5 o'clock. I've never been to a basketball game in my life, Grim.
No, I mean, I'm 6 foot and I can't even play basketball, so I wouldn't even try it. But no, I think it'll be an interesting sport to see. But it's one I've never really tried before.
Yeah, no, you always see it on these kind of like American movies, but you never actually physically go and watch,
I'd like to be one of these guys that, like, when Michael J. Fox was in Teen Wolf and he turned into a wolf and he was brilliant at basketball, that's what I'd need to be good at basketball, I think. Just turn me into something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's really a big week for European football, and also the locker room as well, because don't forget we on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I'm desperately looking at Graham for the times because I'm not entirely sure myself.
Tuesday it'll be 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Wednesday it'll be 9 till 10, and Thursday it'll be 10 to 11.
There you go. So, at least some knows as well. So there you go. And we'll be joined by familiar voices and new people on the show next week. That's all I'm going to say. A big surprise. No, it's not. So you can join us every week, every night, and we'll be back on Friday as well. And if you want to watch this show again or any other shows that we've done, I always keep saying to you, I don't know why you would, but it would be nice just to go back and watch our shows on YouTube as well, or Facebook Live, because we're always there, and I believe we're on Twitter as well. Yeah. So Graham can keep up to date because I'm a bit of a dinosaur when it comes to all that. So you can get all the shows over there that you need as well. Okay, so we're going to finish the show. But we need to speak about Scotland, Graham. I know it's been in the past and all that, but they actually did well the last few games.
Yeah, like I said, it's been such a massive lift for Scotland. I said this on Friday or whenever it was last week, that the Scottish national team has been a bit of a letdown recently, but a lot of folk weren't really particularly bothered about Scotland, but now there's a real feel-good factor, and I think Stevie Clark's done a great job. To get those wins against Ireland and Ukraine, and to get the draw against Ukraine, to be in pot 2 for the draw for the Euros, to then have the fallback of the Nations League playoff if we need it. We're in a great place just now, and I think, as you mentioned as well, the fact that you look at the players we had out in that game against Ukraine, and yet we still managed to get a point in that game with different players coming in, it's brilliant. Scotland are in a fantastic place just now, and the only thing I would say about Steve Clarke is he'll be gutted he's not got another game now for quite a while. But, it's just Scotland's in a great place just now. We've got a really good chance to qualify for the Euros. Actually, next Friday when we're on, or is it next Sunday when we're on, actually?
Next Sunday, yeah.
When we're on next Sunday, the Euro draw will have been made. So we'll know next Sunday who we're going to get in the group. So hopefully we'll get a decent enough draw. But as I say, if we don't qualify, we know that we've got the backup of the playoff for the Nations League. So, it's great being a Scotland fan just now. It's been a long time since we could say that for Scotland.
Yeah, next Sunday is, Grim. So is that before we come on there next Sunday, yeah?
Yeah, I think it's 11 o'clock, I think. So, yeah, right, okay. Show before we're on, yeah.
Yeah, busy show next week then, talking about the weekend's games and the Scotland game coming up as well. Who do you fancy, Grim?
Pamela Anderson, Nicole Kidman. Both of them I quite fancy.
Long as you don't take Collar Willoughby, you'll be fine. But yeah.
I'd have to wait in a queue. Can't be bothered with that. But sorry, Holly.
Graham now gets a man of match for that. That was brilliant, yeah.
No, I genuinely don't know who I want. I just think anyone that gives us a decent chance to get the group, sorry, I can't resist now. Anyone that gives us a chance to get the group would be great, but it's just nice that we're going to be in the draw, and we'll have a lot to look forward to next Sunday on the show, talking about who we're going to get. But there's a lot of different teams in that draw, so I honestly don't know who I want. I know Dave spoke about this last week, but I don't know who I want. I just want Scotland to qualify for the Euros again, because it was great the last time, and I hope we can do it again, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wondered what you were going to say there about Hollow being 14 hours, but anyway, we'll move swiftly on from that, because hopefully no one's listening. Are they listening? No, no one's there. We're fine. We'll just talk to ourselves. It's fine. As long as we don't swear. Anyway, just looking at back on the comments there of yesterday's game, Andy Postecoglou says that he will. So it looks as though Cameron Carter Vickers is out of Wednesday's game because Postecoglou says he's not going to take any risks for putting him in a big game. So hopefully he'll make a game, but that'll be a bit of a blow to Celtic, Graham.
It will, and you can't really force players back too quickly. If you do that and they get injured again, Hearts did that against RFS. We pushed Halkett back. He got injured and went off after 20 minutes. So you can't really afford to do that. You can't take a risk, even though he's a massive player. So I think Postecoglou is quite right to do what he's doing. Get him back in gradually. They've got plenty of games to come up. So get him back gradually, get him fully fit, because a fit Carter Vickers is going to be huge to Celtic this season, not just in terms of the title, but in terms of competing in the Champions League and winning the Scottish Cup and League Cup. So you can't rush him back. Bring him back gradually. So I think Postecoglou's doing the right thing with him.
The other bits of football news that I'm reading, that the Scottish assistant manager, John Carver, has basically revealed that he recommended Jack Hendry to a couple of Premiership clubs. One of them is, basically a move was supposed to be taking place and for Henry to be going down to England before he went to Italy. So that is in one of the day's papers as well, Graham.
I think Jack Henry's been the biggest surprise for me. I didn't actually realise he was, I didn't think he was that great. But to be fair to him, he's done really well. And the last couple of games for Scotland, he's been fantastic. I thought him and Ryan Poach against Ukraine were excellent. So fair play to Jack Hendry. He's done a really, really good job, and he looks a really good composed defender, and he's learning all the time. So fair play. He's been a really good player for Scotland. So massive credit to him, and fair play to John Carver as well. He's seen a lot more of Jack Hendry than I have. So fair play to him.
I know about a news coming out of Rangers today on the Rangers review website. Rangers managing director Stuart Robertson has revealed that talks with Ryan Kent and Colombian striker Alfredo Morelos are ongoing, but admitted that they will be big decisions to be taken over the next few weeks, Graham.
Yeah, I jinxed myself because I asked Dave on the show on Friday about Ryan Kent and said, would it be a bit concerning his form? And then he scores one and creates one yesterday. So what do I know about football? Let's be honest. No, but I think Kent hasn't been quite as good as he was before. Whether the talk of him maybe leaving Rangers got to his head, I don't know. But is he a player that I would expect to see sign a long-term contract? On his form just now, I would say probably not. But listen, there's a long way to go. He could get a lot better this season. Morelos, again, you know what you're going to get, Morelos. He's a goal scorer. He comes off the bench, yes, and does what he does. He scores goals. I think Morelos probably will stay. Again, if you're looking at Morelos about what I think Morelos would go for now, I genuinely don't know. Probably between 10 to 50 million, I'm not sure. But he's still a big player for Rangers. There's no doubt about that. But at the moment, Cholak's been the number one pick. So Morelos has still got a lot to offer Rangers. But if they can keep him and Kent, then fair enough. But I don't know what they're going to do with both of them.
Now, Graham, are you sitting down? Yeah, well, obviously you're sitting down, right? So basically, wait for this one, right? It came out today in the Sunday Times, right, that Hibs manager Lee Johnson has revealed he could have played for Scotland because his mum was born in Scotland in Lennoxtown. Graham, are you still there?
I'm here. I'm just trying to process Lee Johnson play for Scotland. I mean, I've just got FIFA 23. He might be in that. I don't know. But listen, Johnson was a decent player in his time. He was at Hearts for a while. Didn't really do a lot, but he was a decent player. He's combative. He was creative. And I think he was a decent player, but whether he could have played for Scotland, I genuinely don't know. I don't think he was that good. So, fair play. If he could have played for Scotland, fair enough. But I have my doubts about that one.
It's good to see Lee Johnson back after his operation a few weeks ago, because it was worrying for his fans and the rest of Scottish football. But it's good to see him back.
Not 100%. It's great he's back to full fitness and fighting fit. It's great to see, because it was a concern when he was basically came through that it was like a needed appointment or a needed procedure. We didn't know what it was, but thankfully everything seems to be fine. So no, that was a really good boost, and for Hibs to have him back on the touchline again is massive, as it showed yesterday with a good win at Ross County.
Yeah, no, definitely. So thanks to Graham for joining me in the past few hours talking about football and telling a few jokes about horror rugby as well. You don't see that too often in a football show. Football and horror rugby, they don't go well together. Leaving that one there. And next week, Graham will be revealing his top 10 Anyway, that's the end of the show. Damn it. We'll be back next week and on Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday night for the Scottish teams in European action. So thanks to Graham for joining me today, and we'll speak to you soon here on Indie Live Radio and Independence Live.